I'm so loved. I'm sitting in the house praying. I'm like, rain. And then, boom, and here it comes. Woo. Yeah. I almost shaved my beard off today. And when I get hot and miserable, I want to do like Britney Spears, right? Cut all my hair off, shave my beard off, take off all my clothes, run around naked. Get me out of this skin! Whatever I've got here is pretty brutal. What's up, Terry? Well, it's so dense that after it starts growing for a while, like by the skin will start to separate, and like it bleeds under there. It's like all matted, and yeah, my face is all scarred up from this beard. I don't know what to do. How do you show a world that they're wrong about a book and get them stop killing each other? It's like I can't help it. I can see the stuff coming, you know. I think what people don't understand is that, you know, when it says that God does things and whatever, you know, you might get a stray miracle here or there, but for the most parts, God could just pack it up and go away. He's already spoken and said what's to be, what we shouldn't do and what we should. We get what we get for doing what we should have done or what we shouldn't have done. And this all works out pretty damn simple. It is pretty rough cutting the grass. My knees are really like wobbly. So just kind of laying around. Kind of running out of easy food to make, so I unfroze a bucket of soup for myself and had that, and then I fell asleep maybe about, I don't know, 10, 11 last night maybe, and I actually slept all the way through to the morning, and I had dreamt again, but I'm not in the mode where I want to remember the dreams, so. But always it's the Lord showing me something in my dreams. And, you know, but if I wake up and I just feel good, like I rested, then I'm like, that was for me. I'm taking it. Uh, I gotta find somebody to take care of me. What nightmares? I don't have nightmares. I just see concerning things. No, no, actually, it was something to do with hypersonic missiles in my dream. Yeah. Blowing everything up, wrecking everything, killing people, and then what? And then people will make money off of rebuilding it. That should be in the rules of war. Anything that's been destroyed by man, you don't pay anything to fix it. You do it by donations and sacrifice. You don't have contractors making money off the evil that men do. Oh, man. Do nightmares have significance? Yeah, it means you're in trouble. I mean, I don't know. To me, a nightmare is like, where you wake up, you know, terrified, heart racing a million miles an hour. Like, but in my dreams, I'll like spring into action, I guess, I was dating this one chick, and I I knew something was going on there. I kind of had it in the back of my head, and I was right. Eventually, I found out. But one night we're sleeping. We're laying in bed. We live together, and I remember we were in a parking garage, and we were running through these cars. You know, uh, and I was trying to protect her from these people. Well, I remember in the dream, I ran at this guy and then like just jumped and did a butt slide across the car and then tackled him and grabbed him by the throat. And you know what? It was a good thing she was able to wake me up because I had her by the throat. In my dream, and I had her by the throat, and she was like, she couldn't believe it, and I'm like, oh, are you okay? Oh my God, I'm having a terrible dream. And she's like, holy crap. uh, Man, but the backyard was like a damn jungle. Oh man, I looked and I'm like, how did all this stuff grow like this in like a week? I mean, the grass was one thing, but the grass gets hard to cut when it's really long because it lays over. So anyway, but I'm looking at all this stuff and I got giant weeds and like trees popping up. Oh man, I got to get out of here. I need a simple life. I need to go home to heaven and see my girls is what I need to do. Oh. Whew. Oh, it's so nice right now. It's nice and cool. That was a fighter jet. I don't know if you heard that or not. He's going fast, whoever that is. It didn't boom, but he was moving, burning some fuel. March, April, May, June. Can't believe it. In 24 days, it will be 15 months for June on the 24th. More? Yeah. Here comes some more. So since you're a prophet, won't some saved people just disregard your words out of fear that they might go against God? Of course. I sit in a very unique position. I'm not on anybody's side. I can show Christianity where they're wrong with their doctrine. I can show Judaism where they're wrong with their doctrine. The sad thing about that is they're supposed to be the damn pros. And yeah, prophecy. Prophecy is not what people think. Prophecy is already defined and laid out, and there's good prophecies that are in there, and those are the ones you should work for and try to fulfill. The other ones will fulfill by themselves due to lack of work. The bad ones. It's what it's always about. Doing what is right. When it says our God is all knowing, it doesn't refer to, oh, he can see everything. No. That's like some weird creepy shit. He knows everything. He's already said what happens, and that is it. He has already defined what good and evil is, and that's all he's done. And then he steps back, and then guess what? Now we're set loose. And he goes, that's evil, and that's good. I'll bless that. I'm going to curse that. And guess what? He's not finding much to bless these days. You know, people think like a prophet is able to pull magic tricks. All we do is look at the scriptures and read it matter of factly and as it should be said. It's not anything about, you know, oh, I had a dream, I had a vision. Forget all that stuff. Your dream and your vision has already been written down. Now, I challenge anybody that says they serve the God of Abraham. Can you tell me what the king's dream is? Without knowing if he didn't tell you what it was? You better know what it is because he wrote it down. It's called unity, fellowship, uh, love, taking care of the oppressed, and everything else. So whoever these people are that claim to be associated with Abraham, you got a set of rules and principles you got to follow. Because I don't care who you say your physical father is, that don't even matter. Bloodline does not matter. House of David doesn't mean anything. It doesn't have to be about anybody from his family line. It doesn't have to be that way. House of David is referring to people of a certain kind of people. And David was a damn criminal. The only thing he had on his side was he always felt bad about stuff. He wanted to please God, but he had no damn self-control. You go on your roof and you see some guy's wife and you take her and then send him off to get axed? What kind of shit is that? Yeah, here's mud in your eye. You know, I seem to remember where it said the blood will never leave your house. Never. He said never. Ugh. I'm just frustrated because this war didn't have to be. I've been screaming for 6 damn years now. And I'm just ignored. All my prophecies came true. It's like when trouble starts happening and things are getting bad out there, look in the scripture and look, what am I doing? Why am I suffering? I don't know. Who's that person that's attacking you? Have you treated them as well as you could have? Kids playing in the water. Go guys, go. It's just nice to hear, you know. See, rain can't kill you. You know who's going to pay? Who's going to suffer, really? Shit. I'll be dead in a few years, probably, right? That don't matter to me. You know who's going to suffer? Them little kids right there. They're going to have to try and fix what we've destroyed. It's pathetic. Uh, Speaking of bloodlines, when you follow moral law generation after generation, does it become more and more engraved in our instincts? Sure, it would. You'll start to act like your family, but that's not a given. I am nothing like my family. Nothing like my family. All my brothers were terrible. They did nothing to make our parents proud. Um, my I had a couple of good sisters. They've passed away. Everybody else that's left are just all a bunch of I don't know. I don't I shouldn't talk that way about my family, but They don't give a crap about me. I call their numbers and ring them phones off the hook, leave messages. You think I get a call back? I gave up. I finally said, forget it. I go, these people are not my family. They're not my family. They can't be. I they don't do what family does. So, and I have done nothing to anybody. What? Being diligent and trying to warn, you know, because I could see a giant problem. Yeah, and then as soon as you say profit or you call it for what it is, then all of a sudden, no, there's no more prophets. Who are you? And everybody's skeptical. Yeah, bring it. Bring your skepticism and all your Bible stuff so I can fix it for you. I don't spit on the ground. I haven't spit on the ground since I was saved. How do I know what ground is holy and what isn't? I just go harking crap on it? Not me. This doesn't belong to me. And I have to protect it. You know what I hate about Christianity? It's supposed to make you more like Christ, but then people will accuse you of being a false prophet or a Messiah or anything like, yeah, having the Messiah complex. I'm sorry, but how can I act like Jesus but not offend anybody medically? Like there's something wrong with me. It's like having a damn role model. And just because society tagged all these things onto him, son of God, son of this, bad dad, good this, whatever, and so now it makes it a problem if I can see value in what this person taught and I want to be as much like him as possible. That's what people don't understand, is we are already like him. We're already like him. Nobody's coming. Your help is here. It's like we totally took this book and turned it into we got what we deserve. Oh man, I hope I cut that. The kid just splashed like he didn't even do, it was nothing dramatic, but I don't know how old he is. He's probably 5, maybe, on a two-wheeler. So he's all excited, man, Yeah. What people don't understand is that Christ is inside of you. And when you turn towards God, yeah, you feel like Christ because you feel him inside of you. You'll see the fruits of that spirit. But when people, write it off, say there's some kind of medical something or other, it's like, hey man, is it wrong to get excited about God? If I had won the lottery and went around all frantic, that would have been okay because there's money involved. But as soon as I see like the opportunity to represent the Messiah, and I don't mean represent as like to be the Messiah. Anybody is the Messiah. It should be everybody's dream to want to serve God at that level. And it's like, no, but that's works, and I don't want to, that's boring. And it's like, no, it's not boring. You're participating in the construction of repairing a broken creation. It's nothing to be afraid of doing. It's that being ashamed thing that it's talked about, right? Are you ashamed? Well, there's even more to that than you know, people can understand. You know, when it's talking about salvation by grace, that's referring to somebody getting their ass beat for the sins that they do. Salvation by grace. In other words, I just sinned, I got grace. Okay? Did that mean I didn't get totally ruined, burned, whatever? Hey, it's still grace. Either way you look at it, grace all the way. Should we sin more that grace abound? Well, guess what? That's what salvation by grace is. It's literally allowing a person to screw up and learn from their mistakes because they're going to suffer for it a little bit, right? Kindled fire. You know, when he was saying that Jesus would baptize with fire and the Holy Spirit, he literally was calling him like the devil. Who uses with fire? Who has the fire that's prepared for their angels and whatever, right? What is fire? It's just something that you throw stuff into, and well, if there's anything good in there, it'll come out, just like in the book of Daniel. If not, well, I guess keep that fire going then. That's like they weren't trying to frighten people into serving God. That doesn't make any sense because you won't do it right. As soon as you have fear to do the works of God, your hands belong to somebody else at that point. They're no longer his. What I got here? Oh man. I highly understand that. What's up, Jude? Hey, don't worry if your message gets retracted. You can say some bad stuff. Just word it the right way. Spread it out a little bit. I don't mind. I'm not offended. I let people dig their own holes. The best thing when it comes to little ones is how God always lets them into his kingdom. It's better to die young than to walk around in this destructive mess as an adult, in my opinion. Yeah, well, I look at it this way. Children, they can't be judged. How could the Lord judge a child, right? I mean, that's like Jesus' disciples, right? Who sinned, him or his parents, that he was born blind? And it's like, it doesn't work that way. And these children, you know, that people are, you know, they're sacrificing their kids. They're killing their kids. And the Lord is allowing that. Okay? He's allowing that to happen. You know what? I hate to say it, but there are some days when I'm kind of envious of those little kids that don't have to be here. I don't want to be here. I've said it before. If I had a way to go back and stop my father and mother before they ever did anything close to making or anything me, I don't know what I would do. I'd probably I don't know, foul play. You're talking like 60 years of suffering so far for this guy, and I've had about enough. You know, and everybody, well, you know, I'm sure some people have had it worse than you, and it's like, yeah, but I'm in damn America, and I've done everything right that I should do, and I'm still losing. Why is that? Why is that? falsely arrested multiple times. You don't see me in prison, right? No, they just run me around, take my money away, make me look bad. They can't stick anything on me because there's nothing that will. You live a good life, you follow the laws, guess what? You can be as mouthy and as bold as you want. And I am. I ain't afraid of nothing. I haven't done nothing wrong. Man, I hope that thing isn't poking out of the ground. The gas company had to come here and dig up the street, and there's a piece of rebar that I saw. I was glad I saw it. I destroyed one of my tools trying to get the thing out of there, and then all I could imagine was, somebody pulling up in their car and poking their tires, right? And so I got in there and cut it down, beneath the ground as low as I could get underneath it, But, I mean, the guys who did that, I don't know. I'm just weird, I guess. Whenever I do a job, I do it right. Do it right so that it lasts. Without that suffering, where would I have been today? Well, let's see. You know that thing that repairs scratches on CDs? That thing called Data Doctor? That would have been mine. That was stolen from me. Okay? That was stolen from me by a guy in Illinois. All right? That I tried to... he was my friend. Okay? Let's see. I've modified a lot of high-dollar medical devices. I was almost a signed musician, so I would have, maybe had a music career. I had, before my life really fell apart, and I walked away from it because I was just so hurt by everybody and anything around me. But I left a company that probably would have been, I don't know, I got to pick one of the smaller computer companies that doesn't exist, like maybe Acer or Dell was already online. Toshiba was starting to make lug, they call them lug tops, real heavy, real heavy computers, but they were kind of more like getting into like printers and stuff, like accessories to the computer, peripherals, and yeah, I mean, and just opportunity after opportunity, ruined, stolen, or taken away. Um, but it's like I don't look at my past life, my history, and say, oh, wow, this is wrong, and I could have did that. I could have. If you think like that, if that's the kind of person you are, and you look at what's behind you, and you're angry about it, or anything but going, well, God was doing something there, right? Maybe his doing was letting me suffer, but if I remove his sovereignty in the matter, then I have something to complain about. But if I think of his sovereignty in the matter, well, then I'm like Job, right? Because what would happen? The devil would be saying, hey, stretch out your hand and touch all that he has, and he'll curse you to your face. And you know what? Not me. I won't do that. Have I ever been married? Yeah, many times. Now, are you talking about marriages where you legal marriages? Well, to me, a legal marriage, if you consummate, you're married. Okay? So how many wives have I had? I don't know. 30? I sat down and made a list one time because I just went through my life and I'm going, man, I have been with a lot of women, haven't I? These kids are getting soaked. I hope they don't get sick. They'll be all right, I think, right? What in the hell is going on over there? Wow, everybody's out in the. These guys are playing foosball, or not foosball. Oh wow, lacrosse, foosball. Yeah, they're out in the pouring rain playing catch. Him and his buddy. Have you ever ridden a motorcycle? Yeah, I've ridden all kinds of bikes. I've had some very amazing wrecks as well. I don't know which one. Well, they were all, yeah. I don't know. I have a wreck for every occasion. I have one to pick on old people down in Florida. I have one to pick on a young teenager named Sean Heil, who mowed me down and knocked me down on my bike, and I slid it on its side for about 75 feet. And then magically it popped on its wheels, and then I chased the kid. And then there was another time that I drove my bike, and they had a busted sprinkler system. This is in California, and the water was coming down. It was running down the hill because I lived up in the hills, and but the water was running, downhill, and the roads kind of curved. So the water would go down one side of the road, and then the road would curve, and then the water would switch over and just make like a little river across the road. While I was coming home, too aggressive, and I was in a pretty hard turn, and I lost it, and the bike went down. I'm gonna guess how it happened because based off of injuries and the final state of the wreck. So I slid, and when I hit, I took it into a guardrail, and when it did, the bike high-sided, so it flipped, broke this wrist, compound fracture, bone sticking out like that far. Okay, this wrist, if you look at the way it bends, see how it's kind of like curved, where this one just kind of bends at the top, normal, this one just bends, and my fingers, I can bend these fingers like all the way almost back, because when I was doing push-ups, I couldn't get on this wrist, so I would have to bang on all my fingers to still be able to do push-ups and stuff. And so when the bike high-sided, it threw me over the guardrail and almost down a cliff. What the hell was down there? I gotta think. I don't know. I think it might have been like the somewhere on the backside of like a trailer park or something. But I would have come from 75 feet in the air And so when I got thrown over the guardrail, it knocked me out, and I was out for, I don't know, probably a good 4 hours, almost 3 or 4 hours. I was knocked out, and I woke up, you know, got over the guardrail, and then saw my bike and just left it, and I walked home, the rest of the way. And when I got to my house, my wife, that wife, first wife, she was out, who knows where. Well, I know what she was doing. Who she was with, had no idea. And so I go upstairs to my neighbor, and when I knock on the door, his wife answers the door, and I'm like, I go, I was in so much pain. I'm like, oh, I just looked at her and went, oh, Tracy, like that. And she saw the compound fracture and whatever, and she went, oh, and she passed out. And so she like hit the floor, made it like a clumping, boom, hit the floor kind of thing in a slump. And then I'm like, hey, and I go like this, and Scotty's like, who's at the door? And he sees me standing there, and his wife laying on the floor, like, and he comes at me. He would have probably knocked me off of the second story onto the, downstairs if he wouldn't have realized. I'm like, Scotty, no, I know my wrist. She passed out. And so yeah, they took me to the hospital, and when the doctor was doing my, the X-rays and stuff later on, he said, dude, I didn't even see any like recognizable bone structure in there. You just broke everything that there was to break. And he said, I don't even know if it's going to work. He says, he asked me what my job was, and I told him I work on cars. I got to lift transmissions. I have to use, I have to be able to use my hand. And he says, no, you're going to have to probably think of some type of, you're a one-armed man looking like right here, right? And during one of the when the reason I found that out was because the lady was checking my cast and doing what she was doing, the nurse. And I said, man, I can't wait to get this off so I can play my guitar. And she burst into tears and ran off. And then the doctor comes out, and again, here I am looking like the bad guy, made the woman cry. And it's like, and I'm like, what happened to her? All I did was tell her I want to play my guitar. And so, the doctor's, that's when he told me, he says, look says, this is really bad. And I can't make any promises, it doesn't look good. I just basically made it so that you wouldn't have like a stump, at the end of your hand, that you could actually have a hand there. And it's like, I can go. Yeah, one time in Florida, these people, tourists, old people, whatever they were in front of us, and they kept putting on the right turn signal, slowing down, putting on the left turn signal, slowing down, and just doing all this weird, erratic stuff. Like, they didn't know where the hell they were going. It was just like, man, just pull the hell over and get out of the road, because everybody behind us is getting aggravated now, right? So they pull off to the right, off the road. And I'm like, okay. I get on it on my motorcycle. I got a passenger on the back. My saddlebags were jammed packed, and including the trunk bag, were jam packed with as much catfish as we could possibly carry. We had spent the night camping out and fishing. I took this lady Charmaine. I took her son fishing, and we were on our way back. And when them people pulled off, I took off to try and get around them, just like, okay, good. And then they pulled back on the road and flipped on the left turn signal and slammed on the brakes. And so they cut me off, and I skidded my bike. I locked it up, and as soon as Jamie was the boy's name, as soon as Jamie heard the screeching rear wheel, he jumped, because he's like, I saw we were going to hit the car in front of us, so he jumped. and I wound up laying the bike down and sliding it sideways underneath the car. And it was a good thing because there was a milk truck behind us, one of them big, a semi with a nice silver tank, coming from a dairy. And, or, I don't know, whatever, that thing had some weight in it because he slammed on the brakes and it was, all 18 wheels trying to stop. And by the time the wreck stopped, I was like pretty much underneath the back of the car. And that truck was like right here, man. Like, just like, looking under the car and then went, oh, yeah. mm. But when I got thrown over the guardrail, I shattered this. I dislocated my shoulder, which now it's loose, Once you do that, it's like a, yeah. Yeah, that was bad. I'll never forget that. Oh, there we go. Looking for my schnoz rag. Oh, the kid was fine, man. He was standing on the side of the road. I'm glad he, was smart enough, wild enough to do that. I don't know if the both of us, how we would have made out with two of us on there. I probably would have went straight into the car. Yeah, because I hit the car. And then my bike kind of wanted endo and slid underneath the thing. Do I still ride? Absolutely. My only gripe is I wish they didn't make me wear a helmet. My neck is old and sore from having helmets and weight on it for a lot of years, and so it's like, I would just like to ride like I used to ride. No helmet, t-shirt, shorts and flip-flops, and a radio. I don't know. I used to like riding around, and then I don't know. Then you had global warming and everybody complaining about everything, and it was kind of like, I don't know. And plus I didn't have any friends to go riding with. So it's like, riding around by yourself is, what the hell is that? Spirit of Cain? I can ride around looking cool. Got nobody to talk to, socialize with, have a burger with, bail me out if I have some kind of a mishap and need some assistance on the road. Nah. It's no fun by yourself. I'm 60 years old. I've been riding 70 seat. Oh, you got a 70. You got a Honda CR? Since the past year. Any advice for me when I eventually get faster bikes? You know, how many years you been riding? Well, the past year. I would tell you, since it sounds like you're riding. Are you riding dirt bikes? Because if you're riding dirt bikes, you get, even if you're riding a street bike, find somebody that can give you lessons on a dirt bike, because then you'll learn, how to control it. I mean, I don't know what your skills are like yet. Like, I mean, there's technical terms for things that I didn't know about, right? And actually probably nobody will know about. It's just something you figure out on your own, like for instance counter steering, right? Works on a bicycle, works on a motorcycle. The trick is you have to actually steer in the opposite direction, and then what happens is the front wheel, okay, sits on the forks. Well, when I turn the forks to the left like this, what's happened is it causes the bike to it tucks this part of the tire to the more to the left and makes the bike want to fall to the right. It's called counter steering. You literally, and you can get a bike to turn really hard when you use it that way. But here's why I mention it. If you were an inexperienced rider and you happen to be in a corner in speed and you started steering the wrong way, you're going to drift out of that corner. You're going to lose that corner if you don't remember that you need to steer in the opposite direction. Like to go right, I turn left. To go left, I turn right. And it's weird because when you turn right, you go like this, and then it causes the bike to fall over. Some of it's your weight, some of it's geometry of that front wheel. But if you can learn how to control a small motorcycle, dirt bike riding like in that kind of a way, everything like that will transition even to a bigger bike. All of it. The control factor and everything else. I mean, I talk about wrecks, but I've avoided some wrecks too by some crazy driving. Uh, yeah, riding bikes is not safe necessarily because you have to depend on too many other people. You're on two wheels, road hazards in the road. So it's like, have as much fun as you can, but don't be so crazy about faster bikes and speed and whatever. I used to have fast bikes, and those are the ones that got me killed. And then you know what I wound up getting? A nice little cruiser, with some saddlebags and a stereo, nice windshield, and, I got it's a big bike, right? It doesn't, when you go if you happen to go on the highway or something, it's windy, you don't really get blown off the road with this thing. It just kind of, you might feel it a little bit, but it's a good sturdy bike. But there's been times where, I've had to get wild on it, right? Like one time I was coming up to a light, and I was next to a van, or I was behind a van, and the guy in the turn lane couldn't see me as I was coming along because I'm behind this van, but I'm not too close. Well, the van pulls off into the turn pocket, and when that guy saw, oh, well, this guy coming is going to make a left turn, I can make a left turn. So he just went for it, and I was coming, all that happened is, he's like, oh, the van, oh, a motorcycle behind it, and he went through the light, and I had to lock my bike up, and like, it was weird how he did it because he freaked out and then like stopped, and I had him in front of me, the van in the turn lane, and he was like, I had this angle thing through here, to get around him. But then I was heading off into the other side of the traffic, across the double yellow, so then I had to come back. So I did this weird, cranked it, and the bike was skipping on the rear wheels, going doom, 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 doom. And then I, caught it, and then I went back through, and then I counter steered and came back this way. And I was like I was mind blown. And I know it was a Sunday because all the people were coming out of church. I would have been killed by a Christian. That would have been some person trying to get the hell out of church real fast. Got to get home. Yeah, I mean, and Ninja's a sport bike, so I mean, you can do all kinds of tricks and things on them. But what you got to remember is when you're traveling at a high rate of speed, if something gets in your path, it might as well be driving your bike into a brick wall. And that's the problem. When you're going and you're driving, these people are moving, you know? And more experience. You've only been riding for a year. You'll start to, it's like a chess game out there, you know? You'll see a couple people over here and they're kind of interacting with each other, not fighting or something, but, you're going to go, okay, I can see what's going to happen. This guy wants to get around him, but so they got three cars. This guy's going to want to get around him. He's doing the same thing that van did. He's not even paying attention that there's a car in front of him that he's approaching, and he's going to change. So I got one. Now I got 2 lanes taken up by these 2 cars passing slow guy, and then third guy decides he's going to come over and he needs his own lane, and he's really going to be jamming on it. So it's kind of like, and then you realize, all right, well, not an option, but it just becomes like an exercise of, I don't know, avoiding tragedy, and you'll get better at it because you'll start to recognize, when you get a close call here or there, when somebody's not paying attention, or if you're doing something wrong and not trying to make yourself be seen, But yeah. I feel crap. If I wouldn't have been coughing up some other stuff, I'd be thinking it was my heart, because my heart is. No, but it definitely can, kind of take some of the monotony away. It's like just listening to, motor groaning for hours on end if you're on a long trip or something. It's kind of nice to throw some music on and. If I had to say what was the coolest bike I probably ever had, I like my bike now. I'm very happy with it. Um, but I had a Triumph. It was a Triumph T500, and it was a chopper, hardtail, so it had no shocks on the back. When you sat on it, I'm sitting probably 4 inches higher than what it would be. I'm sitting in a chair, but it was really low, and you had the big sissy bar in the back and a, banana seat. um, but it was an English bike, Triumph. So it was like weird because the shifter was on the opposite side. And so it was like almost impossible to try and figure out to ride easily because everything else was second nature to me. Shifting, clutch, brake, all that is kind of like built in. I'm now a part of the bike when I ride it. Uh-oh. We just lost power. I'm going to end this live stream because I just hit a 5% battery thing. So, but I love you guys. I hope you're safe wherever you are. And I just pray that, that you're safe. That you're safe in this crazy world. If you know any theologians or pastors that would like to address something that I've found a problem in the scriptures, worldwide, affects everybody, please send them my way. And if I find out that you are the person who has unleashed all this, when I become famous, I'll make sure that you are well taken care of. Not that I want to become famous, but that's what's going to happen. Because I found something very, very troubling in our scriptures, and it's ruining our world. It's right in front of our face, and we're being destroyed by it. So, it's a book, okay? A book is destroying our world. One that our God would not be happy about happening. So, shalom, shalom.